Okay.
John, it's Doncaster at Odsal Stadium on Sunday. What's the side looking like? Is there any injury news you can tell us?
Well, Sam Alice obviously came through last week without a problem, so I think it's compliments to the medical staff that they did so well. There's other bumps and bruises, but they've all come through without a problem on Tuesday's training. The only sort of one that will certainly be out is obviously Elliot Minchella, who suffered a concussion, and the return to play protocol lasts 8 days. So that means that he won't be ready for contact until Monday after the Doncaster game. So Elliot will certainly be missing. But on the plus side, although Callum Bustin missed out with a late fitness test last week, he's come through this week without a problem. So he will certainly be available.
And obviously, John, having someone of Callum Bustin's stature back in the side's a big plus.
Oh, it is. I mean, he's a big man, isn't he? He's a big man who's been playing very well. And he gives us great go forward, but what I like about him as well, he's got a good work ethic in defence as well. So yeah, he's an important middle for us. So it's like one important middle, which is Elliot Minchella, goes out, but one important middle comes back in as well with Callum Bustin.
Have you looked to utilise the dual reg agreement with Toronto?
No, I think this group of players are doing really well, and this group of players have come together as a group, and this group of players are achieving as a group. And I think to disrupt that, you'd have to consider it very carefully, and you'd have to ensure that it was the right person if he came in, and you certainly wouldn't do it with wholesale import. So at the minute we're happy with where we're at, with what we're doing. I would never say never, but for Doncaster I'm happy where we're at.
And I think it's fair to say, John, that by not just calling players in willy-nilly, that's being very respectful to the players' efforts.
It is, yeah, and I think the players are responding with that as well. But I'm a great believer, I always have been a believer, that the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and we're playing as a team and we're working as a team, and I think that's reflected in where we're standing at the minute in the league table.
What challenges are Doncaster?
Sorry.
What challenges are Doncaster going to put you under on Sunday, John?
Well, I think Doncaster are a really good team, and I think one thing we've got to be aware of is the fact that they had a very disappointing performance last time out. So I'm sure Richard Horne is, but I'm certainly expecting a reaction from them as well. So they'll be ready to play, that is for certain. And two, they're a really well organised team, and they throw a lot at you, and I'm expecting them to play a lot of good football. And they're also a team that's quite nuggety and hang in there, and they just don't go away. So they're a bit of a pest, to tell you the truth. And you know, so we know 80 minutes of hard work, of good quality hard work, is going to have to be required on Sunday afternoon.
John, we're at the halfway point of the season. Are you happy with how the side have gone in those first 13 games? Yeah,
I think if I was marking us, I'd give us a 7.5 out of 10. Because we have had a couple of performances that I don't feel have been of our standard, but we've had some stellar ones as well to counteract that. So I think overall we've done pretty well. And if you'd have said to me, you've only lost one game and that game was right by 1 point, purely looking at results, you've got to be happy with that as well. So yeah, we're happy where we're at, but I honestly, I still feel that there's more to come from this team. And I might sound like a broken record, Mick, but I honestly believe we're still in the process of getting better and better. And we've had interruptions with Dane Chisholm missed the start of the season, where Joe Keys has missed a little bit, where George Flanagan's got injured, where Greg McNally. And I honestly think we get all them on the field at the same time and playing a few games together. I really do think we'll come home with a wet sail.
We just mentioned some of the challenges that you faced and how you've gone about them. But I think early doors, John, you had the opening season win against York, big away wins at Keighley, Doncaster, and also Whitehaven weekend gone, and those are the sides where you really do have to get the points because they're right behind you challenging.
They are, and you can add Oldham to that. You know, Oldham was a very, very tough game here, and we know we've got to repeat that. You know, we've got to go to Oldham in this half of the season. We've to go to Hunslet as well, who we're playing some good rugby and coming up with some good results. And we've also got the aforementioned teams at home as well as Workington. So there's still plenty of work to be done. But the good thing is it's within our hands. You know, everything's in our hands, and when it's in your control, you can feel you know, a little more at ease, because you know it's your responsibility to front up, turn up, work hard, and play well.
The spotlight has been on the club's hybrid system of full-time and part-time players. 6 months into using the new system, John, what are your thoughts, the benefits of using such a system?
Well, the benefit, there's an obvious benefit for me, that Elliot Minchella, Steve Crossley and Matt Garside are part-time players, and if we'd have just said we were going purely full-time, we wouldn't have had their services, and they're good players, and add Brandon Pickersgill to that and George Flanagan, so they're good players. So what you're doing, if you just say we've got to have full-time, you cut your nose off to spite the face, because there's some really good part-time players at this level and in the championship level. And the other good thing that we've done is the staff, I feel, have organised it very, very well indeed, in order to maximise the full-timers' time here at the club, as well as maximise the part-timers' time here at the club, and also integrate them as a group. So it's worked very well as a system, and you know, whoever thought of it, because I wasn't here when it was thought of, so I can't take any credit for that, but whoever thought of it has obviously got some foresight and intellect, because it's worked really well.
You're someone with a clear vision of what the club needs to do to realise that promotion dream. What has been the most rewarding part of being the Bradford Bulls head coach, John, in this opening part of the season? The rewarding part is it's been part of, I mean, it's like just a groundswell of positivity, you know, and it's been a club that's suffered with a bit of negativity, with a lot of adversity in the past sort of 7-8 years, but I honestly believe it's turned now. I think the groundswell is just positive, and it's just an absolute pleasure to be part of it and to be in and amongst it, where we are going in the correct direction, which we've hit the bottom and we're coming back up, and it's just great to be part of it. And the other one is I did not realise how passionate and how committed and how many fans there were that really love this club, and you know, that's again one of the pleasures of having some achievement in this first half of the season, because you really do feel as if the fans are really grateful for it. I mean, after everything that's happened to the club in the last 5-6 years, John, those Bulls fans do continue to show up in big numbers and give their side superb backing, as we've seen at those record crowds at Newcastle, York, and also that fantastic away following at Warrington. Yeah, it's been marvellous, you know, and as I say, some of the Warrington coaching staff were very, very complimentary, not only about the team and how the team played and conducted themselves, but about the level of following that we had and the atmosphere it created. And in fact, it was remarked upon, this is a Super League club in waiting, and I honestly believe we are. We've mentioned a few of the positives amongst the side, John. Where do you feel that there's need for improvement in the side for the second half? Well, there's always improvement. As I said, we want to get our best players out there for a run of games, because you know, we haven't had that, and I've mentioned why. You know, there's been valid reasons why. It's a tough sport. It's a contact sport, but I don't think we've had the St Helens luck, shall we say, with injuries. I mean, they're top in Super League, and you know, they've had very few injuries. I know Alex Walmsley's missing, but really they've had very few injuries, so they've had an element of consistency week in, week out with the individuals they've selected, and I'd love that to happen to us. If we could get that for 5 or 6 games round about the 3/4 mark of the season, I think we can, as I say, really come on with a wet sail, play some great stuff, and you'll see the best of this Bradford Bulls team of 2018. Recruitment and plans for next year, John, when does that process start? Is it a little bit too early to talk about that, or is that just something at the back of your mind? Started. Yeah, it started. We're well in advance with lots of things about player retention, about bringing players in, so yeah, it's already started. It's well in hand, and there's a lot of work that people don't see that goes on in Andrew Chalmers' office and in my office, and it's well underway, believe you me, and you'll see us get better. And just finally, John, your thoughts on the academy and scholarship side of things at the club. I mean, I think it's a telling aspect when we've just had 3 scholarship players, Kear bringing Harry Shackleton, Daniel Edwards called up to the England youth side, and we've also already seen Rowan Mills, Oliver Wilson in the England academy setup.
Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? I mean, again, as I've remarked before, it's a Super League club in the waiting, and that Super League infrastructure's there, and it's proved that with 3 inclusions at 16s and 2 at 19s, and I'm really proud of it. But I'm not as proud as John Bastian and Lee Beattie and Mark Dunning are, because they're the ones at the coal face there, and they need a big pat on the back for that.